What is it? Do they have another class?
No, sir. Only today means like we have psychology and other subjects.
Why, to my surprise, only 2 of them have joined. This is the very least number which I have taken a class up to now. It's about to get streamed. Yeah. So yesterday we talked about unit 7, which talks about norms. What is a norm? A norm is a average performance of the group. Okay, so again we're going to talk about that later. So today we will be discussing about unit 8, which talks about interpretation of test scores. As we know, when we have conducted a test, so you will be getting test scores. So these test scores would be, is it in terms of numbers or what? So generally how they would be? Usha, you would like to interact or look to be busy with it?
So your voice is not clear, sir.
Is it? Still, I am talking in a low voice. Is it audible now? Is it audible now?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So today we will be talking about unit 8, which talked about interpretation of test scores. Okay, so when you have administered a test, so generally what you would be getting, the final scores. So these scores would be in terms of numbers.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so if you remember any one particular test you have undergone or you have taken a test, for example, RSP. So that particular test, they would be giving a booklet consisting of 60 questions divided into 5 sections, each section having 12 items. So overall 60 questions would be there. So there would be answer sheet. Okay, so once you administer the test, you ask the person to mark the responses. Okay, so once they have done with the test, they would be returning you answer sheet. So in that answer sheet, so what you would be having, for example, question number 1, the task of the person is to identify which particular option which has been given in the booklet fits into this particular pattern. For example, as I said before also, if this back of my screen, if it is a pattern, in that if something is missing, so you need to identify this particular pattern or a matrix in the given options. So just they would be simply answering the options. So is that going to give you any lead? So they would have answered for question 1, 4 is the option. For second, maybe first one is the answer. So by looking at the answer script, you getting any lead, or there has to be further subjected to be further analyzed?
It is subjected to further analysis, sir, because it is not given in an order.
Good.
We have to rank it in an order so that it will be understandable for everyone.
Good. So whether they marked the 4th one or the 5th one, is it correct or wrong? No one knows. Okay, except the experimenter. Even the experimenter sometimes, they are also not aware. So they would be referring to scoring keys. So we have scoring keys. So they would be referring to scoring keys. So based on this scoring keys, okay, they would be correcting the correct responses. Okay, so this is where the interpretation of test scores is very, very important. If you have conducted a test, doesn't mean that. So whatever the numbers your particular, okay, the client or the person who is taking test exam is giving, so they convey nothing. If they say for question 1, it is the fourth option, so they are not conveying anything. So that has to be converted into, okay, meaningful analysis, okay, with using appropriate statistical techniques. So this is where we're talking about interpretation of test scores. Okay, that particular RSPM. So once test is done, based on the answer key, you try to answer or you try to correct the responses, and out of that you try to identify what is the total number of correct responses. Okay, for example, out of 60, how many are correct, the overall score.
Yes, sir.
Okay, maybe for example you're getting 45. So based on 45, so what final conclusion you are trying to give, so that is called as interpretation of test scores. If you remember, so we would be having a manual. In that manual, so scoring and scoring procedure would be given, and this scoring procedure would be according to certain fixed norms as we discussed yesterday. So if at the age of 21, if someone is getting a 45 score, so what does it mean? Okay, so then this particular norm referencing, okay, scoring procedure will come into picture. So now based on the age, if you look for the score what they're getting in the test, that is going to give you, okay, the further interpretation. So which particular grade they have, okay, or what is the level of IQ of a person. So that is called as norm referencing interpretation of test scores. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Norm
Yes, sir.
referencing. So norm, so there is an age. For example, if it's getting 45, so for that particular age, what the score of 45 means, so that is called as norm referencing. Or it can be if she's a girl, so girl child, age of 21. So if she's getting 45, so what is the IQ level? So that particular IQ level would be the final interpretation of the test scores. Is that clear? So this is called as norm reference. And also sometimes it can be grade referencing also. Okay, so it would be depending on the test and the purpose of the test. So if it have something to do with the learning achievement, so generally it would be having, okay, grade, okay, referencing. Norms would be with regard to grades. Then criterion reference. So there is a particular criteria. So based on the criterion, so if you are getting certain score, so this is how you're going to predict. As we talked about yesterday, so certain, okay, scores on certain scholastic achievement tests, etc. So where they have certain criteria, so based on the criteria, it is going to give you a lead that so how well you're going to be excelling in the corresponding or the particular fields. So there is certain criterion referencing, which also says that, okay, to be able to get into one particular, okay, courses conduct thing, so there is but certain, okay, required level of, okay, achievement or performance, which is called as a prefixed criteria. So if someone is getting into that particular criteria, then they would be allowed to get into the particular courses, etc. So that is called criterion reference. Okay, we talked about a norm referencing and criterion referencing, but we talked about individual. So with regard to one particular individual, it is okay. But when we're talking about, okay, group of students or individual, So is it going to be as easy as that you do for individuals?
No, sir.
You getting me?
Yes.
So norm referencing, criterion referencing, okay, to larger extent. For individuals, a limited number of people, it will be okay. But when we're talking about a large number of people or a group of people, so where we might be having not one particular test, but combination of different tests, or within test, if you have, okay, as I said about, okay, RSPM, they have 5 sections, but they are together taken as, okay, 60 questions, 5 into 12. But what if you have to do each and every section separately, and if it has to be calculated as a each component, so if I have at least 10 students with me, so 10 into 5 components, so how much it's going to be? Okay, 10 5s are
150.
50. Okay, so this is how 50 combinations will be there, and as a manually it may not be possible. And if the number is still further increasing, so this is how it's getting more and more complicated. So for that is reason, so we need to follow or take help of certain procedures like statistical tables. Okay, so statistical tables. So what are the statistical tables? So they can be as simple as that: serial number, okay, name of the person, their different scores, each section, and calculating their corresponding percentages, etc. So statistical tables are a table form representation of the data of, okay, the particular individuals. So when you try to organize, so is organizing giving you any, okay, aiding you to remember or to look at that easily? Will that be helpful?
Yes, sir.
Okay, if you say or if you write as one individual score continuously, maybe for 1, 2, 3 people may be good, but when you're talking about, okay, a large number of people may not be possible, or it doesn't convey, okay, meaningful interpretation. So we cannot arrive at it. There can be confusion, overlapping. Okay, to avoid this, okay, we can make use of, okay, statistical tables. Okay, so statistical tables can be as simple as that, as we have in our record writing also. Did you remember record writing? Serial
Yes,
number,
sir.
name, what is the raw score you are getting or the test score. So based on the test score, what is the, okay, grade, and what is the final interpretation. So if you can organize in a very systematic manner, so if you have 100 individuals also, so without any confusion, without any overlapping, so it would help you to interpret test results as correctly as possible. Because you should always remember that we're not talking about some numbers, we're talking about people's, their feelings, their behaviors, their abilities, their emotions, so which can have a huge impact on what interpretations you're trying to make. You agree with this?
Yes, sir.
So they're not just numbers, they're talking about person, their feelings, their emotions, their abilities. You getting me?
Yes, sir.
So very, very important. So how well you organize, so that much correctly you can interpret the results. So making use of tables is called as statistical tables. Okay. Then the other one is rank order. So what is this ranks?
It
Did you
depends
Like
on
remember?
the course, sir.
ascending or descending order, we say 1, 2, 3, 4 in the class first, class second, or state first, state
So
second.
did you remember nominal, then ordinal, ordinal numerical scale?
It is arranged either in from top to bottom or bottom to top.
Good. So you're trying to give a order, rank, a value. So it can be either you start increasing or you start decreasing. That's ascending or
Descending
descending.
order.
Okay, but you're trying to arrange them in a sequential order based on, okay, either increasing or in the decreasing value. You agree with this?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So if you have 100 students course also, so if you try to give them or arrange them in either increasing or decreasing order of the value, so it is called as rank order method. Okay, so either it can be increasing or decreasing. So generally, which one would be given more importance, either rank 1 or rank 100?
Rank
One.
1, sir.
Getting me? So we're talking about ranks value. So 1 would be coming first, followed by 100. Okay, so this is how they are arranged, and based on this also we can know, so who is the person having the highest score and who is the person having the lowest scores. You getting me? We're talking about test results,
Yes, sir.
psychological test you have conducted. When you have results, so how these results can be, okay, interpreted, or they can be arranged according to these methods. Okay, so once you arrange them in sequential order, either increasing or decreasing, so very meaningfully you can talk about like who stands at which particular point among the given group. You agree with that?
Yes, sir.
How many of you are before you, how many of after you? So all these can be given. So if they are arranged in one particular sequence, either increasing or decreasing order. Okay, so this is about rank order. Then the next method is frequency distribution. Okay, or what simply called as a frequency tables. So these are also called as frequency tables. Okay, so how frequently? Okay, did you remember nominal, ordinal, then comes nominal, ordinal, then interval scale. Did you remember? Nominal,
Yes,
ordinal, then
interval scale.
interval scale. So when we're having intervals, so they are equal distance between, okay, one set to the other set. You agree? 0 to 10, then 11 to
20.
20. So
20.
there is equal distance among this set of, okay, numbers. So then when you try to use this frequency distribution or frequency tables, okay, we try to find out, so how many of them are scoring within this particular, okay, range of 0 to 10. Then from 11 to 20, how many people are into this particular range of scores or test scores. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so when you have these particular intervals and interval frequency tables we are using, okay, so that particular number is called as tally. You have got any idea about this particular one, tally?
Once the scores are means equally measured, like set of A and B is the same. Means like even without any 0.5 or 1 difference. Like balance sheet, we tally the things.
Yes, another thing.
Debit
Yes.
versus the credit.
Other thing, when they try to interpret, no, 1, 2, 3, 4, the fifth one they try to strike it off. So for easy representation, 1, 2, 3, 4, then the fifth one they strike off, which they say that it is one set of 5. So then they try to count how many sets of 5s are there. And based on that, easily they will calculate and they will tell you. So within this particular interval of 0 to 10 score, so how many people are lying in that particular range. Is it very easy to tell you someone that how many of them are having these particular scores between 50 to 60? And also we can compare with 0 to 10, how many of them are there, and 50 to 60, how many of them are there based on this tally marks also. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, frequency distribution table. Then we talked about, okay, norm referring. Norm referring can be ages, as I said. They can be grade also. They can be gender also, like that. So there would be based on certain norms. You can refer and you can interpret for that particular achievement on that particular test. example 45. So what does it mean 45 for intellectual ability? So based on the age, based on the gender, etc. So we try to refer to the table, and that it can give you the final interpretation. So that is called as non-referencing. Then we have the criterion referencing also based on certain criteria. So we are going to tell them. So once you have these interpretations or the final scores with you, the final interpretations or meaningful conveying of what these particular numbers mean. Maybe score of 45 doesn't convey much, but based on that, if I have a norm referencing and if I say is average intellectual ability, so is it more meaningful than a number? Okay, so most of the time numbers may not convey, but these particular numbers using on certain norms, etc., when they are final interpreted in terms of the abilities, emotions, personalities, okay, they are going to serve you the purpose of our psychological test. Okay, so once you have that, then you have to report that in a format. So what is this report formats? So if you have done a psychological test, so you're writing a record for this. Do you remember?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So for academic purpose, we are writing records. So if you are a professional, a psychologist, okay, so how you write this particular record?
We
Okay.
will take up the case. What is the case? Means like to have an order, like a description of the particular subject for what they have come to us. That will be the first point. Then we'll go ahead. Is it means like the general question, like is it anybody in your family is having similar kind of
Yes.
face or something?
That all you do as a part of clinical interviews. Did you remember that?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Clinical interviews and all that you try to conduct, you try to assess, you try to identify what is going on, what is the actual thing. Then to support that, you conducting certain tests. So for this test, when you get certain numbers, you're trying to convert that numbers into okay either standard scores, okay Z scores. Do you remember yesterday we talked about?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Okay, they are further converted into the meaningful interpretations. Like for example, it can be a grade, it can be a intellectual ability, and all that. Okay. Then when it comes to presentation, so report writing, okay, it can be of okay 4 types. For example, descriptive. So what is descriptive? Just describing or giving information about okay what particular test the person have taken. So what is the score, and based on the score, what is the ability of that particular purpose? Okay, descriptive. Then genetic. What is this genetic?
Hereditary means like DNA.
Yes, good. So does this particular okay test or the final interpretation, which is talking about the present condition of the person. You agree?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
If I have taken a test, so the score is talking about the present condition. So these tests sometimes they would be talking about what all can be the reasons, genetic factors contributed for the present condition.
Means like it means like he is having the same problem again and again. It is coming reoccurring. That is called genetics, sir, or it is from the hereditary point.
From biological point of view, we're trying to look
Biological
at
point of
okay, what all can be the reasons for the present, okay, the distress. Okay, the psychological distress the person is going through, what all can be the reasons. So if you try to get back to that, it can be a genetic a description or a report writing. Then the other type can be predictive. So based on the test, can we predict?
Once
Yes, sir.
test is
Yes.
done, scores are done. Once scores are evaluated, we can predict where means like is it on the negative side or the positive side, or is hanging in the in between, whether it can be rectified or not. We can predict.
Okay, and also how successful is going to be and all that. Okay, especially learning, knowledge, memory related test, abilities, achievement. So these tests can predict. So how he is going to be, or how he can excel.
In the exams or further.
Okay? Yes, scholastic achievements, etc. Based on intelligence, for example, we talked about IQ level. So if he's having certain level of IQ level, so how well he can do with this schooling? Can you predict that?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes. So this is how the so-called final results of interpretation. So they can be in terms of predictive in future. So how they are going to be helping out the student. Then evaluate. Sometimes the test can be done to evaluate. Okay, based on the evaluation. So as you talked about, okay. So for further giving suggestions, improvements. So what all can be done? What is the present condition? So how to get rid of it or how to come out of it? So how to take care of this? So what strategies can be used? You getting me?
Yes.
Sir.
Evaluation. Okay, you do evaluations to know the present condition so that you give the required strategies or suggestions so that they can improve upon that particular psychological concept and they can carry forward. Okay, so this is to do with report writing. So report writing can be about describing the present condition, or they can be talking about what all can be reasons or genetical factors, that is biological factors responsible for the present condition. Or sometimes the test reports can be having a predictive value which can give you a lead about in future, so how this particular individual is going to be, how happy is going to be, how satisfied is going to be. So if it is based on interest, if he's selecting one particular career, as I said, if he's interested and if he's getting the right career choice done, so is he going to excel in that?
Yes, sir.
So this is how predictions also we can make, and evaluations, if any required solutions are there, we can give him the required suggestions. Okay, then ethical issues in testing. So what ethical issues generally we need to follow in testing? So as I said, they are not numbers, they are the feelings,
Emotions, sir.
yes, emotions, abilities of the people. Okay, so they have to be dealt very, very, very
Sensitive.
carefully, and they're sensitive also. Okay, first one, user qualifications and professional competence. For example, the person whoever is conducting the test, if he is not well qualified, will the results are going to be genuine, correct?
No.
No. Okay, so he's not well qualified, not qualified to conduct a test or professional competency. So if you don't have the ability to interpret, as I said, if a score of 45, so what does it mean if a person doesn't know? Is it going to be of any use? Is it going to be of any use?
No.
Are you getting me?
If the results are not proper, then the conducting of the test is no use.
Okay, not only conduction, but it should have, the person should have the ability, competency to elaborate on that. So in what way it is going to affect the person? So what would the uses of this particular thing? You getting me?
Yes,
it just tells that you are average or below average or above average and you just leave. So is it of any use?
No.
No, sir.
Maybe no. So well qualified or minimum qualification is required, and also professional competence. So testing is to do with people, their feelings. So once you get this, so how well you handle is also important. Okay, then responsibility of test publishers. So these test publishers, when they publish, as we talked about, test construction, did you remember? So they have certain steps. They follow all the steps. Then finally they will print the the manual. So while printing also, the publisher should take care that the scoring and everything are done in a very practical manner. And also you should remember that while selling also, so whom they should sell, who can purchase, what is the minimum requirement for them to have this particular test with them. You getting me?
Yes.
So it's not a general commodity where you have money, you gone and you have bought it. You getting me?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
It is a psychological test. So who should buy or who can have these particular things? All should be well defined before. So what is the pre or minimum requirement? As we talked about qualifications, okay, competencies. At what level of competencies? So all this has to be decided, and it should be not taken as a commercial purpose, only for not making for money purpose. Okay. Then protection of privacy. So what is the need to protect privacy?
Subject's identity should be never revealed.
Good. What happens if they reveal?
It can cause trauma to the subject.
Yes. Rather than you bringing out of psychological distress, you add more,
Burden to them.
yeah, more burden, more stress to
And
them.
yeah.
And also, we have questions. Questions are also framed in such a way that they're trying to get some information. Okay, so when you frame the questions, also the care has to be taken that. So how intimate the questions you're trying to get into. Okay, so everyone have this particular inner circle. So are we talking about that particular things? If we're talking also, if we're trying to collect data also, so how well you are going to protect that? You getting me?
Yes, sir.
If there is very requirement of getting those private details also, so how well you are protecting them? So that has to be taken care because it is going to add more and more distress rather than you making them come out of that. Then confidentiality,
Very
It's very important.
yes, it has to be maintained because we are not disclosing. If you have to disclose, so what has to be taken?
His
Client's
or
approval.
her permission.
Yeah, informed consent, it's called this. Okay,
Yes.
you inform them to take the written consent of the person, saying that can I use your name for this particular purpose? You should tell them, okay, to what extent you are going to use, what is the context and all that. Okay, you should take a written declaration from that. It's called as written consent. Then testing diverse population. So these particular tests, okay, try to test large number of populations, and also some test would be with regard to one particular culture. For example, if it is designed for Western culture, so can that be used for other people?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Okay, so you should always remember that. And if this particular publishers and all that, okay, if they are not mentioning this, so on which particular population it is designed and what is the target population, so it can also cause certain wrong things. So is it culture free or general? It has to be mentioned. The culture free is one which can be applied for all the people. So if it is designed for one particular culture, okay, you should be having knowledge about that. And because, for example, if it is designed for a Western culture, will that be applicable to the Indian context?
No,
No,
sir.
sir.
And based on that, if you're trying to conclude and say, okay, you're lagging behind and all that, okay, will that be okay?
That's inappropriate, sir.
Inappropriate. Okay, so this is how diverse population also has to be taken care, and you should check is it a culture free or is it with regard to one particular culture and all that. Okay, so these are the ethical issues which has to be taken care while psychological testing. Okay, then we will continue with the unit 9, which is called as statistics. Okay,
So,
go ahead.
sorry for interrupting, but could you please give us the full form of CPI, sir?
CPI,
What is the full form of CPI?
where is it?
Page number 62, sir. Unit 5.
California Personality Inventory.
Okay, right.
That's the answer? Because that was not mentioned in the whole unit.
Okay. So based on that particular context, we need to refer.
Actually, even in the fullform.com, when I have looked, sir, it is like California psychological inventory it is given. But in this option, personality they have given. So that was the reason. But
I've gone through the whole unit. I've gone through the whole unit twice, sir, but it is not mentioned.
It is not there in the.
Okay, maybe that particular institution or the particular place they might have come up with the particular test. Okay, so it can be the reason.
So the answer would be
CP. Okay, let me check that. Okay, you said unit 5, page number 62, correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, no problem. No problem.
Thank you.
Okay, then unit 9, what is the page number?
Unit 9 is 107, sir.
107. Okay, so this particular unit it is talking about, okay, statistics. You got any idea about statistics? What statistics means?
Mathematical reference, sir.
Okay. So it is defined as, okay, it is a science, please write down, science of collecting, summarizing, analyzing, and interpreting numerical facts. Science of collection, summarizing, analyzing, and interpretation of numerical facts. Now, what is the importance of statistics in behavioral sciences like psychology? Do we use them or we don't use them? So for example, psychological testing, we get numbers. So these numbers convey anything?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
I mean, they have to be further converted. As we talked about tables, rank orders, and all that. Okay, so this is how statistics are very much used in behavioral sciences. Okay, so the test results just numbers that doesn't convey anything. So they have to be further subjected to appropriate statistical techniques so that we arrive at meaningful conclusions. Okay, so that is the reason. So statistics are very much used in psychology. Okay, we know that quantitative and qualitative. Okay, for the conversion also qualitative and all that. Okay, so we require the statistics. Okay, generally statistics would be of two types. Okay, please write down descriptive statistics and inferential statistics.
Inferential statistics.
Good. So what is descriptive statistics?
In that statistics, they will be describing about the data of a particular means like about a culture or the population, how much are living, surviving over in a particular area, for example.
Good. So it is meant for describing the set of data what we have. Okay, so if I have, for example, 20 students with me, 20 scores of the students. So these descriptive statistics are going to help me to describe these 20 students. You getting me?
Yes.
Like what is the minimum score? What is the maximum score? Okay, it is called as the range, etc. So mean, median, mode, measures of central tendency. So out of these 20 students, so what is the least score? What is the maximum score? What is the mid value? So when you arrange them in a sequential order, so what is the correct mid value? What is the average? What is the most repeated number, which is called as median? Okay, mode. Okay, mean, median, then mode. So all these can be dealt or described using this particular descriptive statistics. Okay, so it's going to help you how to describe. So generally in research purpose, we make use of this the statistics. So these statistics are used for either describing or to make some inferences. So what does it mean by inferences? Trying to predict. Okay, so From where you're trying to predict?
From the data what is collected, out of that, how many has voted for this political party, or how, like census.
Okay. If I have to know the opinion of these particular online classes, okay, if I have 100 students got enrolled, for time, okay, I have limited time which doesn't permit me to talk to all the 100 people. So if you try to pick around 10 students for attending this particular regular classes, if I try to take their opinion and I try to reflect that or infer as the opinion of the entire group of 90, okay, 90 plus 10 will become my total
100.
100. Okay, this 10 is called sample, the 100 is called population. Complete is called population. So for certain constraints like maybe time of the resources, okay, and especially this I'm talking about research, I'm not telling you as a research. In research, what we do, we have thousands of people, which doesn't permit me to talk to all thousands of people. So I select, okay, a reasonable number who are one among the complete group. So based on these people's response, I'm trying to predict, infer what can be the opinion of the entire group. So such thing is done using inferential
Statistics.
But descriptive is talking about only the 20 students whom I have. If I try to make use of these 20 students to tell what all the overall opinion of the remaining 80 students, so it is called as inferential statistics. Did you get this?
Yes, sir.
So when you try to make inferences, okay, so these inferences can be, okay, try to find out, okay, t-test or a, they call as variance or analysis of variance, ANOVA they call. So these type of things we try to use in inferential statistics. Okay, and please write down page number 109. So this here they have given a table about the comparisons. Yeah, 109.
Yes, sir.
Descriptive statistics and inferential statistics they have given you. So they talk about central tendency, mean, median, mode, etc. So these they talk about, okay, variances, okay, finding out the differences between mean, so t-test and f-test, etc. Please go through this 109. Okay, so this is about statistics. So statistics is the science of collecting, analyzing, interpreting, okay, numerical data. So as we make use of numerical data, so the psychology is very, very dependent on statistics. Okay, and we talked about types of statistics, okay, descriptive and inferential. Descriptive is talking about the scores what I have, they try to describe. So what is the average, what is the minimum score, what is the maximum score, what is the mid value, what is the most repeated score of this particular set of scores what I have. The inferential statistics, if I have some scores, okay, of a larger group, and based on this some scores, if I'm trying to interpret what can be the overall opinion of the larger group, it is called as inferential statistics. Okay, simple, don't get confused. Page 109, just you go through the differences, they have given them beautifully. So what is the limitation of this particular statistics? It is only confined to numbers, you agree?
It is confined to numbers, and only it is related to the only particular subject. If they are going on research, they will be restricted to the one particular content of the subject. They
Good.
cannot do multiple.
Okay, so based on numbers. So if there are no numbers, qualitative, so statistics cannot be used. Quantitative numbers, statistics can be used. And also it is not talking about individuals, it is talking about set of scores or group of people. Okay, when we have set of numbers, then only we can make use of statistics, and it is confined to quantitative and not
Quantity.
qualitative. Okay, so this is the main limitation of statistics, and especially for individuals, if you have to make an interpretation, so then again we need to get back to our qualitative methods, what are called as interview, observation. Need to remember them?
Yes, sir.
We need to again depend on them. So numbers, number sets, then only statistics are used. Then there is small part which is called as statistical packages. So as we know, in our computers we got this Excel sheets. Did you remember? MS Excel?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it is also a worksheet. Okay, where so all these collection, analysis, analyzing, summarizing, and trying to come out with meaningful interpretations, as we talked about both descriptive as well as the inferential.
Inferential.
Okay, when it comes to inferential, okay, certain inferential only can be done using this Microsoft Excel. So when it comes to descriptive statistics, okay, without any doubt, we can make use of Microsoft Excel. Please do remember that. So when it comes to inferential statistics, okay, all inferential statistical analysis cannot be done using MS Excel. So for that reason, we have another program which is called as SPSS. Okay, so what is this SPSS?
Statistical package for social science.
Good. Okay, please write on page number 111. So statistical package, like we have package MS Excel. So this is also a package, statistical package, and it is for which particular subjects? Social
Sciences.
Social sciences. So like for example, psychology is which is one of the social sciences, and where we're talking about making inferences. So this particular package is used. It is also a software. Like we install packages. So we can install this SPSS. It is designed by IBM company. So it have different versions. The latest version you can buy, and sometimes it would also free packages would be available. So we can install that, and if you try to give or feed the complete data what you have, for example, if you have set of scores of a group, so when you try to feed that particular data and then select the appropriate inferential statistics like a t-test, and if you just click the button, so it is going to do all the calculations and come up with the final conclusion. You getting me?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So like we have this, okay, scroll down button where you try to select different, okay, mathematical operations in MS Excel. In the same way, you would be having this particular inferential statistics in SPSS. The only thing is that you select what you require, then you click the button, then you are going to get the complete analysis of the inferential statistics. So this particular SPS package is used for research purpose. So our Excel mostly confined to the descriptive statistics, and some of the inferential statistics also done. But when it comes to more and more in-depth inferential statistics, so the particular package SPSS is very used in social sciences, especially psychology. Also, we make use of this particular SPSS. Okay, so these days no one is doing manually, so we try to do with the help of packages. Then, what is the role of computers in psychological testing?
They will be storing the data and
Good.
displaying as and when it is required. The scores are calculated with the computer applications quickly.
Good. We can quickly generate PDFs, files. You agree? Analysis part we can easily get within few minutes of time. Once you click the button, you will get the complete file. This file can be imported, exported, and can be sent to any one particular person whom you are interested. Like we have this particular Lab reports, no, these days when you give,
Yes,
you
sir.
collect sample and
Yes.
you will get a mail. So you need
Yes.
not go, you need not collect.
Yes,
So
sir.
everything would be given in that. You can take a printout of that. Even a copy would be sent to the concerned doctor also. You getting me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So this is the beauty of this particular computers. Okay. So the same way, computers can also be used for our so-called psychological testing. Okay. So computer assisted. So with the help of computers, okay, to present the test materials, for example, SPSS or SPM, for example. So we have a booklet. So to make it more interesting, we can give that particular slides on a computer screen. You agree with that?
Yes, sir.
Like we have online tests, okay, that can be done. Okay, computer based also. Okay, so this is how computers can be very much used, and they can be done for our so-called interpretation, analysis, report generation also. So all these are the advantages. So what can be the disadvantage of this particular computers in psychological testing?
It becomes more mechanical, sir.
Good. Even for example, if the results are too general, like for example, whoever is having average intellectual ability, so if it is telling you the same remarks and same suggestions, will that work for all people?
No, sir.
You getting me? So
Yes.
we are looking at individualized face-to-face interaction of counseling, where based on certain other factors also you try to consider and you try to give the final solution for them. You agree?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
But these integrations cannot be done with the help of these particular computers because they are going to give you more and more generalized interpretations. You agree?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
By
There is
and
no
large,
clinical opinion will be given.
good. Further analysis cannot be done. Okay, your personal observations, if you have made anything, that cannot be included into the record. As a clinician, you cannot include that into record because it is going to have a certain format. So based on certain scores, it is going to give by and large the same type of interpretation to all the people who are having that particular score. You agree with this?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
So the so-called particular human touch or the professional touch is going to get missed in this particular computer generated report. Okay, so this is the importance or this is the usage or the limitations of computers in the psychological counseling or in psychological testing especially. Okay, so with this you have completed this particular unit 9. So you got any clarifications, doubts, you can ask me. If not, we will wind it up.
Sir, age norms are related to dash referencing, page number 105.
So age norms are with to do with which type of referencing?
It's again age norms equivalent.
Page number
105.
105.
105. This is ethical issue, criterion referencing, then norm referencing. Ethical issues, qualification of tester, okay? Criterion is cutoff score, as I said, based on
Yes,
certain
sir.
predetermined cutoffs kind of a thing, okay? Did you remember that?
Yes, sir.
I said, okay, you determine certain numbers if they are qualifying that numbers, okay? Certain criteria. Norm referencing is nothing but grade norm, as I also talked about. As I said, they can be age norms, grade norms, gender norms. Grade is nothing but a class. For example, 8th class, 9th class. In Western, they make use of a grade. Grade 9, they say, grade 10, they say. Clear?
Yes, sir.
You sure it's okay?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Can we stop?
Yes, sir.
Chalo, then we are left with 2 more classes, I guess, on
Yes,
20
sir.
and 21st.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Sir.
see you all, but little bit disappointed with the less number. Only 2 people.
Actually, there is a technical glitch, sir. Yesterday, I mentioned many of them, they don't know. Once they see, they don't have that much interest to see check whether we have class or not.
Oh. If possible, you try to convey them. If you have any WhatsApp group, etc., you try
Yes, sir.
to
Yes,
convey
sir.
this message. We will have another 2 classes, then we will wind it up. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Chalo, then all the best. Take care.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.